Yes, I think we'll start now. Right. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om Sharda ji. Namaste. Yes, can someone Namaste ji. Can someone recollect anything that we saw last? Yes, please.
Can I?
Yes, sir. Most welcome. Yes, Hari Om Shobhaji. Yes, please.
In the last
Hello.
session,
Yes.
Om.
Yes, ji.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Krishna says,
Yes, ji.
Maya prevents one from divinity.
Yes.
And this is delusion by Maya, one adopts the lower demonic nature.
Okay, ji.
And then he also says there are 4 ways on which, one of the ways which we can walk to reach to the divine.
Ji.
That is by knowledge, by devotion, by suffering, or by sinning.
Ji.
And he also says that if you have a dedicated daiva and with one mind, if you walk on the path of sadhana, you can walk on the path of sadhana. If you have, and if you have ambitions of reaching to divine, even with the lower intelligence, you can reach to that. And then also Krishna talks that he knows present, future, and past, but no one knows about him.
They are
or no
not
one
conscious of the divine.
No.
Yes.
And lastly, he also talks that one who remembers the divine at the death time, he unites with him.
Yes.
This is something. This is something.
That was the last part, which
last
7th. Absolutely, Om Prakash ji. So, if you see, this 7th Adhyaya has introduced the concept of Maya. Maya is a very interesting concept. People have had great Vedantic debates on this, and yet nobody is a master who has fully understood what Maya is, and it traps everybody. So, if you just have to see, it's simple. One thing which will trap a person in Maya is Ahankar. Ahankar is the simplest way. We do not realize it and it comes. Nobody knows when it comes. Look at what happened to that story if we looked at of Narada. It was just normal. He just said, but what happened is, Krishna, I cannot get trapped because I am great. Many times we get the feeling we are better. It is not that we should be self-depreciating. Sanatana Dharma is asking us to realize we are what we can say unique. We have the strength of the lions and also the wisdom of all the, what we can say, ancient rishis. Everything is within us. But I think I'll just mute Shardaji. Yes, please. So this Maya can trap anybody, and there's only one liberation. It is by connecting with the divine, letting ourselves, our individual selves, our limited, narrow perspectives aside for a while, and connecting with the higher truth. Best example was that only. How did Narada get liberated? When he realized he fell down, his all personal efforts had failed. He had taken all the personal efforts, and then when he felt that, yes, I have now failed, that time he remembered. Yes, Badrinaranji wants to add something. Most welcome, sir. Yes, please feel free to unmute. Yes, Ji.
I'll unmute. Narad,
yes, sir.
There is a story which goes like this, that Narad always does Narayan. He came to Vishnu Bhagwan. Hello, you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. But maybe we have seen the story and we have to start the 8th Adhyaya. So without going into the story, the crux of the... Yes.
Okay.
Just
you want to hear it?
About Maya. Not about the story, sir. Not about the story, sir. Because that was already completed.
I don't know whether it was Maya or it was ego. He says, लॉर्ड विष्णु भगवान, मैं तो बार बार आपको नारायण नारायण इतने बार कहता हूँ, क्या मेरे से कोई बड़ा भक्त है? तो लॉर्ड विष्णु
No,
से
sir.
गो
Badrinath ji,
डाउन.
we have studied we have looked at the entire story already. It was, I think,
Okay,
two
okay,
sessions
thank you.
back. Yes, sir. The same story only. Yes. So what we just saw is the simplest way is to surrender to the divine, as Badrinath ji has told. When we remember the divine, that will liberate us. So that is one thing we should see. Then Krishna says, what happens because of Maya? People don't realize that there is a divine, and this divine is present equidistant from everyone. He's not closer to some people and far away from someone, but the three gunas, Devi, Hesha, Gunamayir, Maya, Duratya, it's like this through the gunas, through Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So the three gunas were introduced. They trap us, meaning sometimes we get a trap, we get entrapped by our own natures. So that is a big limitation, meaning we need to understand our nature. We cannot crush our nature. We are not artificial beings. We are natural human beings only. So we will have nature working. But we shouldn't get carried away, or nature shouldn't carry us away. We should understand what is going to raise our spirit, what is going to raise our consciousness, and what is going to lower our consciousness. So it is sometimes said as sadhak has to be very alert at all times. At all times, the sadhak must try never to lower his consciousness. I'll just mute everybody. I think what I'll do is I'll just, as a general, I'll mute everybody. If you wish to, you can raise your hands. So we'll not have any speakers blaring. Yes, please. So with this, we saw that Krishna has told, and then Krishna tells one simple thing in the last part. He says, see, somebody who is wise enough, somebody who is brilliant enough, somebody who is so, what we can say, has done such great sadhana that that person is able to remember me in his last moment. Well, that person gets liberated. Krishna says at that critical moment. No one knows when that moment comes. So the question was asked in the last Adhyaya. How do we know? Or is Krishna just playing a trick on us? Because we don't know, he's saying you try to remember in the last minute. No, the last minute can come anytime. This is something we have to be conscious of. But if we are, it's like somebody who is already conscious of the divine at all times. He doesn't have to worry about whether it is going to be now or later or maybe never, whatever it is. Let us just get into this Adhyaya, 8th Adhyaya. Krishna has just talked about, he has told some interesting concepts. Adi Bhutam, Adi Devam, Adi Yajnam. Adi means beginning. And who was the first amongst the living? What was the first yajna that was done? Who is the first god? All these questions Arjuna is suddenly going to have because Krishna has already introduced this for him. He says, recognize that I am the one. I am the beginning. I am the Adi Bhuta. I am the Adi Deva. I am the Adi Yajna. And if you are able to recognize, here Krishna is referring to his supreme consciousness. And if you can recognize it, he says, liberation is yours. But Arjuna has a question. We will just look at Arjuna's question and then look at the illustration and begin. This is an interesting Adhyaya. It's the Adhyaya on death. The Brahma and the kinetics of the departing soul. How does the Jivatman, or how does that Jivatman travel? Is there a science behind it? Well, let us see. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna has a question. He says, Kim Tat Brahma? Kim Adhyatmam? Kim Karma Purushottama? So one question has many questions inside. Kim. He is very curious. Maybe this concept of death shakes a lot of people, like that Arjuna is entering into a deadly battle. So he's like, oh no, what's going to happen? Kim Tat Brahma? Kim Adhyatmam? Kim Karma Purushottama? Adi Bhutan cha kim proktam, Adi Devam kim uchyate. He says, what is this perception that is known as Brahma? Everybody tries to realize, isn't it? Aham Brahmasmi. So what is this Brahma which people are trying to realize? He says, what is that perception? What can be truly termed as the self's karma? What is that karma done by the divine? If the divine is performing karmas, what is it? Krishna goes on, Arjuna goes on, what phenomenon dominates the material coexistence? Oh Krishna, who was the first god? that came into existence. So he says, let me know who is that Adi Devam. Krishna already indicated. He said, recognize me as the Adi Bhuta. Now here, when Krishna was referring to me, Arjuna is like thinking probably Krishna is talking about his previous birth, because he's already told me I have taken so many births. He's trying to make a, what we can say, mind map or some kind of classification. So this is the fifth Deva or the seventh Deva or the eighth Deva. No, Krishna meant something else. He talked about a Brahma, which is actually later on we'll see. He is Shara, beyond the Shara and the Akshara also, the supreme. But let us see. Arjuna at least has got curious. And he's got too many questions, not just one. In just 2 lines of the shloka, we saw so many Kim coming in between. In Sanskrit, Kim means what? So many of them are there. He goes on further. He says, Adhi yajna katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kalecha katham neyosi niyatatmabhihi. What was the first sacrifice in the physical? This Adi Yajna, which you're telling me, what was this sacrifice? The first one. Isn't it? It's always a question of curiosity, isn't it? Many times in my school, whenever some questions which were very deep, they were asked, one teacher had a very nice way of saying, he would come and he'd say, this question is something like, what came first, hen or egg? So I will not answer your question, and he would walk away. Everybody would end up scratching their heads. So is Krishna going to answer, or is he going to give a twist to this question and walk away? We will see. He says, what was the first sacrifice in the physical? Oh, Krishna, how was it embodied? How was it in the embodied being practical? Meaning, hasn't Krishna told in the second Adhyaya that there is a divine inside every living being? This divine is imperishable. This divine is immortal. This divine is bending all the material laws. One spirit is entering inside. The spirit is entering into matter. What is this? How is it possible? Arjuna is like a scientist only, curious. How did the spirit enter into matter? There's a beautiful line in Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, which talks about, and matter shall reveal the spirit's face. Meaning the time will come when matter will now be forced to reveal the spirit also. But Arjuna is not able to, because many times matter and spirit people think are opposite terms. They are not one. So he tries to ask. And then comes the big question, which probably goes to everybody. Everybody must wonder about this. At the time of death, where does the soul further go? Your existence is truth. How can one really know? So one aspect of we see is he's not questioning Krishna's divinity here, but he says, how can I truly understand your divine presence and your essence? Meaning he is next to Krishna only. He has become conscious that though I am next to Krishna, I have not recognized Krishna. I am next to him. Maya is preventing me from realizing him. So tell me, how do I recognize your full divinity, your entire truth of existence? My question is, should we have these questions or we shouldn't have these questions? Anybody? So many questions Arjuna is having. Should we or should we not have them? Anybody? Yes, Akhilesh ji, most welcome. Yes, please. Oh, I think I have to unmute you probably. Sorry. Yes.
I think that if we have questions, it shows that we're trying to understand and
Yes,
learn more,
yes.
and so that will always be appreciated.
Yes, yes. Sadhak is basically like a scientist only, isn't it? A seeker. They call it seeker. Seeker is why does one seek? Because the question has arisen. Without that, progress is not possible. Our entire growth, Sanatana Dharma also talks about questions. Ask questions, ask 100 questions, ask more questions, and Arjuna Krishna might get happier also. But the questions should be the sadhak's question, not questions which are going in circle like, I want to do tapasya. So I understand how many fishes are there in the sea in Pondicherry. Now, is that a question worth doing any sadhana? I may get one answer also, which will be used as what we can say valuable as my question only. That between these many and these many at this particular time, if you measure at this time, these are all logical, what Sri Aurobindo calls mental gymnastics. They don't go to the truth. But a seeker's questions and Arjuna's questions, there's a difference in Arjuna's questions right now in this Adhyaya, because for the first time, he said, how can I understand you truly, Krishna? Meaning he has understood something about Krishna, that there is a divine. He is not asking the questions like he was asking earlier. How can I believe you? How can I accept that you told the sun? What, you made some crazy time machine? Have you patented it? What have you done? No, right now he wants to know. He says, please, I want to understand. And this aspect is because probably Arjuna cares a lot for his loved ones, near ones, dear ones. What is going to happen? What is this? What is this mrityu? How do I understand? Where does the Atman go ahead? Krishna is going to answer. Before that, let us begin. We'll begin with the illustration. I'll just share. Yes, Deepak ji also has resonated the same thing. We should clear our doubts, because when doubts are clear, then we can go ahead always. Yes, can someone see the screen if it is clear? Yes, please. Hari Om. Yes, I think I'll just, yeah, please go give me a moment. Yes, you can unmute yourself now. Yes, please. Can you see the screen? Anybody? Please feel free to describe it. We will see how it's connected with the Adhyaya. Hari Om. Anybody, please unmute.
This looks like the structure of an atom.
Yes, Ji.
So where we have the three elements of an atom, right? So it just looks similar to that.
Okay.
But here, like how we describe three, electrons, neutrons, protons,
Yes,
right?
yes.
For our connection, if we think from the Gita perspective or raising our
Okay.
consciousness, so I
Ji.
think that's what is trying to.
That is what is required. Okay. Yes, Chitraji. And how does the boy look like? Does he look like ordinary, or does he look like something like in the
Looks like a
super?
superhero.
Yeah, isn't it? Absolutely. So maybe this three things: concentration, consecration. There's a spelling mistake which I think it has been resolved. I'm still using the old one. So it is consecration, S, it should be S instead of C, and devotion. So these are three qualities: concentration, consecration, and devotion. All right, Chitraji, thank you for adding. Anybody would like to add further? Yes, please. Anyone, please feel free to unmute. Yes, Hari Om. So we can quickly go into the Adhyaya after that. Yes, anybody? Would you like to read the tagline below it? Yes, Vinita ji.
Yeah, what I can understand is at the center of all the energy is actually the creator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like we connect with the creator, we get the connection with the divine power, and that protects us. It's like a shield. All right. Okay, ji, thank you. Yes, so if you look at the tagline, concentration, consecration, and devotion are the three qualities that Krishna identifies to be most beneficial and important for champions. So let us continue. Krishna wants the hero in Arjuna to awaken, and I'll just stop sharing. Yes. So now Krishna is going to answer the three big questions. What we saw in the illustration was three qualities are very essential. It is concentration, consecration, and devotion. Let us begin. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Paramam Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavo-dhyatmamuchyate Bhuta Bhavo Bhavakaro Visargaha Karma Sangnyata. Shri Krishna answered, the formless infinite is Brahma. It is thus perceived. Brahma is what? Brahma is the formless infinite one. The Puranic tales talk about Brahma, that is different. That is also one form which people are taught, because Puranas are trying to teach people principles so they can understand through stories. But when you go into the Vedantic world, there they go closer into a deeper truth. And here Krishna is saying, formless infinite is Brahma. It is thus perceived. And the immortal self's existence in nature is conceived, meaning it is understood that this immortal supreme divine is present, maybe hidden, but present in nature. 2 points have already been told. Next, Krishna says, that sacrifice made That sacrifice made at the moment of formation. I just got a message from Deepak ji. Please elaborate again. Deepak ji, what is the context? The same shloka, or was it for the illustration? Illustration, is it? All right, sorry, then I'll continue. So maybe I read it just now. Fine, let us continue. Krishna has told the formless infinite is Brahma. It is thus perceived, and the immortal self's existence in nature is conceived. That sacrifice made at the moment of formation is the self's karma performed for every being's creation. So now Krishna is talking about a sacrifice made by whom? Made by the Supreme Divine. What name you want to call it? Call him the Brahma. Whether it is Ekameva Dvitiyam or it is a Dvitiya, it's not a question. We are not going to enter into the Vad of Vedanta. You have the right. You can say God is one or two, or sometimes one, sometimes two, whatever you wish to say. That is fine. But a sacrifice was made. The beautiful aspect of the Gita is the same Gita is the Praman Shastra for Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishta Advaita also. And people who are not concerned with any of these Vedantic texts also say, no, Gita has told. Somehow that Shraddha Sthan is there on Gita and it's a Praman Shastra. Well, whatever Vedantic school you're belonging, Krishna says this is a sacrifice. The sacrifice has been made at the moment of formation. It is the self's karma performed for every being's creation. So formation time, there's a sacrifice. What was the sacrifice is a big question. Arjuna asked. Krishna is saying that sacrifice is the one that was made at the time of formation, at the time of creation. Now, creation of what is the big question? Creation of human beings or creation of the entire Srishti? Even we look at human beings, yes, sacrifice is made, we can say, at the time of formation of human being. But when you go into the universe, Krishna is saying the Srishti also is like a sacrifice of the supreme, formless, imperishable Brahma, the infinite one. What is the sacrifice? Well, the infinite has chosen to manifest as a finite. So isn't that a sacrifice? That which is like, I have so much wealth with me, but suddenly I push portion of that wealth into one more account and I start functioning only as per the limitations of that particular account. Now, is that a sacrifice I've made? I have the wealth, it's mine, but no, I'm not going to use it. Something like that. There's a sacrifice. So at that moment of formation. So one of the things is, one is this, a very infinite Brahma is becoming finite. The formless is now taking a form. It's like, it is something what we can say a slight of reduction, isn't it? A formless can be free in any way, but no. It's from the Sukshma, suddenly something has come into Sthula. Well, that is like a big sacrifice. Look at the Srishti. Srishti is created. Srishti is created with what? Rules. Rules have imposed on whom? On everybody in the Srishti. So when the divine enters the Srishti, divine says, okay, I'll follow the rules which I have only created. It's like the game has been created and the person who has created the game is entering into the game as one participant and player. Isn't that a sacrifice? Yes, Krishna is saying that was a sacrifice. This is a karma of the self at the beginning of every being's creation as well. Krishna goes on. Adhibhutam sharobhavaha purushaschadi daivatam adi agnyo ahamevatra dehe deha prutamvara. Perishable is the nature of material coexistence. Sharobhavaha, meaning perishable. Aren't we all perishable, or we can say we are imperishable? Maybe inside of us there might be an imperishable spirit which flame has been burning from, we don't know. Maybe we all would have met on Kurukshetra also as different roles. We don't know that time what it was. We are carrying that golden light from a very long time maybe. But otherwise, my body it is limited. When I go on my bike, I have to be very alert. Just today in front of me, suddenly someone slipped and fell. Now I have to be careful because my body, bones are going to break, skin is going to, what we can say, it will bleed, it will grow dry. So many things are there. I have my limitations. So here, Krishna is saying this entire Srishti, we are all having a perishable nature. The first God is the omniscient transcendental existence, meaning there is this existence which is transcendental, which is transcending what? The limits of both zero and infinity also. It is transcending all limits. That is the supreme divine, the first God. That is why many of them who do not believe in forms, they say, see, your scriptures also talk about it. Look, Nasadya Sukta tells our God is the first God, our God is the correct God. No, it's our God, your God, everybody's God is one only, but that's what Krishna is talking about. He's talking about this supreme transcendental existence as being the first. The first sacrifice, what is it? It is my dwelling in all physical beings, auspices, and I am also the receiving Lord of all the sacrifices. Meaning I am present in this entire Srishti and in all the living beings. This only is what Krishna is talking about as a sacrifice also. And who is receiving the sacrifice? The ahuti is poured, going back to him only. It is like Tera Tujhko Arpan Kya Lage Mara. Even that need not be told because it is going that way only. And Krishna is saying this is the entire Srishti going on. And in this process, Krishna says, Anta Kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. Let there be no doubts about what? Krishna says, whoever while leaving the body remembers me at the time of death, if he can thus focused be, of traversing the unknown dreams, he shall have no fear, and to the Supreme, my consciousness will take him near. So this is what Krishna is talking about. Somebody who is having the smaran of the divine, who is connected with the consciousness of the divine. He says that Jivatman, that being, if he remembers at that particular moment when the Jivatman leaves the body, Krishna says that being will not have this fear of the unknown also. And my supreme consciousness, which has been awakened inside of that person, will take him there. Now, this is an interesting as concept of death. According to Sanatan Dharma, we have like Pancha Koshas also, and one by one, these koshas are left behind and a journey goes on. Nobody is able to fully understand it because it's very subtle. I had a very interesting conversation with a senior neurologist who's now close to retire. He has talked about, he said, I've seen so many patients in the ICU. I've seen last minutes of so many such people, but I have not been able to understand it properly. What is it that is leaving? It is not, the vital signs are active, everything I can see on the monitor. But when something inside leaves, I know that something inside has left. After this has left, now we can't revive the patient. That becomes clear to all of us. But what is it in the physical that has left? We've never been able to understand. He said it's a mystery. Well, whatever it is, Krishna is saying such a person who is having consciousness of the divine inside of him, he'll have no fear of death. Can we call such a person to be a yogi who's thinking of the divine? Yes, at all times or in that last minute. Can we call such a person who's not having the fear of death only, even in the last moment is able to think of the divine? Yes, anybody, what do you think? Yes, Kushbuji is saying yes, thumbs up. But can someone just, put on the audio so we'll have just a small dialogue? Anyone? The person who's conscious of the last minute. Anybody? Can we call such a person a yogi?
Yes.
Yes, Chitraji. So what happens is they'll have no fear, isn't it?
Yes, they won't have any fear. And because in those last moments, right, so many thoughts can come. So even in
Yes.
those thoughts, if he's thinking of the divine, so he is definitely not the ordinary.
He'll be at peace, isn't it?
Right.
He'll not be
right.
wondering, no, I will not give my this shirt or I will not give this to that person. These are all, lots of people have these thoughts. Whether any possession, they don't want to let go. So in the last, I want to see all my FDs, bring all the FDs in front of me. That person shouted at me, so I will not give him anything. This person, I don't like his, all these quotes, and no, I don't want to go. And all these questions come inside for somebody who is trapped with desires. But a yogi is clear and conscious the inside. Yes, Ushaji wants to add something. Most welcome, Ushaji. After Chitraji. Yes, please, Ushaji. Do you want to add something?
No.
Okay, fine. I just got unmuted on your own. Okay, so this is what Krishna is talking about. A yogi. There's a difference between a bhogi and a yogi. A bhogi is full of material thoughts only and is not able to think about anything beyond it. Ego, anger, people are like this, people are like that. I have done so much, so many things. But for a yogi is calm and peaceful. It doesn't matter. Tukaram had said, "Majhe marna pahle mea dora, kai varnu soda anupama." I saw death from my own eyes. What can I tell you? What a brilliant celebration it was. For somebody who has done a beautiful, who's lived a good life, who's done good works, who's done right works, why should such a person have any fear? The last moment is going to be peaceful. The person will be conscious. But like even Ramana Maharshi, isn't it? Ramana Maharshi, because he actually visualized his own death. He saw his own body burning, and he just went through that experience just like that. And then there was a complete change, because it is difficult to let go. That is the problem. Sometimes death need not be the mortal physical death also. Death of something old for something new to be born. It has to go. And somebody who is not willing to let go in our own nature. If I have a wrong nature and a bad nature, if I say no, whatever happens, I'll hold on to it. Can I progress? Can I move ahead? Can I be peaceful? No, nothing or none of these will happen. I can't progress. I can't be peaceful. And I'll never be able to move ahead. I'll keep trying to hold on till what? Till that hold is completely lost. My nature will force me to leave it. Then I will leave and I'll keep lamenting as long as I can lament. But for a yogi is like that. Anybody has heard of the Mahamrutyunjaya mantra? What is it? Anyone can tell me? Yes, please. Anyone, if you can unmute and tell me, please. Badinarji, yes, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
Om
We worship
Trambakam
the
Yajam.
Lord Shiva. Hello.
The mantra only, sir, not the backstory of the mantra, just the mantra.
You want the mantra
Absolutely, sir.
or the translation?
The mantra, sir. The mantra, sir.
Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamrudat.
Hari Om. Jai Krishna. Yes, Badinarji. So thank you so much. This is the Mahamrutyunjaya mantra. If you want to give the translation in short, most welcome, Ji.
Yeah, it says
Yes.
we worship the Lord Shiva who nourishes all we beings, and we want him to relieve us from this mortal body, just as a cucumber is cut off from its stem.
Yes, from the stem. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, Ji. Hari Om. Thank you. Now, this is a very interesting mantra, because what does cucumber have to do with suddenly Shiva coming into the picture? Does he like cucumbers? Or because what is the connection between this people will have? Means why cucumber and immortality? Or does cucumber lead to immortality? Then everybody is going to either cultivate and grow. No, if you look at it, I think perfectly as Badinanchi has talked about, we meditate upon the three-eyed one. Who is Shiva? Shiva is the one who is the creator also. Is the, if you see the preserver and the destroyer, watching all three cycles detached in his own, how we can say, complete detached way. Just like take me from mortality to immortality, just like the cucumber. Because has anybody watched, if you have watched a cucumber, when it is fully grown, you don't have to pull it out. If it is not fully ripe, you pull it out, a portion of its stem will be stuck to it only. Instead, if it is fully grown, all you have to do is touch it lightly and it will separate on its own. So this aspect of separating without any pain, that is a liberation. That movement which is without any such fluctuation, which happens so naturally, perfect ripening, even plants and fruits, when they are perfectly, if you have enjoyed plucking fruits anytime, when is the easiest way is when the fruit is fully ripe. How do you know? Just touch it lightly and it becomes liberated. Well, just like that, liberate me. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityor mukshiyam amruta. Like that, liberate us from our bondages, liberate us from all our attachments, liberate us from our sufferings. So that is the real liberation. And a yogi gets that liberation. He gets it because of his sadhana, because he's not trapped with so many entanglements. Sometimes we need this, sometimes we get very troubled in different samsara cycles. It could be a relationship, it could be some kind of, work related business deal or some corporate setup. You are trapped in some project which you don't want to do. So there also, if you're able to quietly move out in such a way which is not causing frustration, fluctuation, and your work also is going ahead, that is a liberation. Well, in life, Krishna is talking about yogi. If he is conscious of the divine, he need not worry of his last moment. Example I shared about one participant's grandmother. She said, "My Vimana has come." How can somebody say like that? Well, if the person is hallucinating, how can she correctly say, and next moment she leaves her body also? Look at the what we can sequence and chronology of events. How is it so crazy, and how is it possible? And the person who was telling me also, she got COVID and she was herself a senior citizen, and she had a lot of trouble. And inside of the ICU, she was telling her sisters Bhagavad Gita, because that time only that was going on, and she was so peaceful and liberated, quiet in the last moment. That is a mark of a yogi, being calm and peaceful, because yogis are able to control their journeys. They say the prana leaves from one of the, we said, temple of 9 gates, human body. Like that, Nava Dwara is there. Any one Dwara, the prana vayu leaves. Yogi is able to control which Dwara also. Otherwise, when people leave, they go with their eyes open, their mouth open, something like that. Without, that is where the prana leaves. They're not fully conscious. But a yogi is able to control and he's able to understand. That's what Krishna is saying. Let us go to the sixth shloka, sorry. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Oh Arjuna, when the physical body one leaves, at the time of departure, whatever one believes, that idea which is strong in its final contemplation, he takes that form and object of his imagination, meaning something to do with our consciousness, concentration. Our thoughts also have some value. Krishna is saying that lends a force to the journey that even affects probably the movement. That is why Krishna is saying, so to Arjuna, he is giving an instruction because it's very pertinent to Arjuna. He is in the Kurukshetra. Any arrow can come from any side towards him. And that can make an entire difference between living and dying. So he says, don't worry, is what Krishna is telling him. He says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhacha mai arpita mano buddhir ma me vaishyasi asanchayaha. In all your battles and actions, let your insight be fixed. So every karma, this is beautiful, just like Shankaracharya has told in his Shiva Manas Puja. Yad yad karma karomi tadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Means every karma I'm doing, I'll do as an aradhana. Like that, we have to be conscious. And Krishna says, that's why Arjuna, in all your battles and actions, let your insight be fixed. Upon me, let your mind and intellect be affixed. At all times, when you remember me constantly, O Arjuna, you shall then come to me certainly. Meaning he's saying, let that consciousness be affixed on the divine. You will be, correctly pulled towards that divine consciousness. This consciousness, it has a force in the material also, force in the spiritual also. Krishna is talking about it. Maybe that's why one more reason for meditation. Badrinathji wants to add something. Most welcome, Badrinathji. Yes, sir. Please unmute.
Regarding the last shloka, that final contemplation, what does it mean? That means as you think, you become whatever you think while departing.
Yes. Something like that.
Is it something like that?
Yes, something like that. It has a bearing.
Okay, thank you.
It has a bearing. It has a bearing in the journey.
Thank you.
Yes, Hari Om. So Krishna says this, you'll come. Then he goes on, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasi nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partha chintayan. Oh Arjuna, by regulated efforts of consecration with a devoted mind, focused in concentration, when one practices yoga, seeking the union divine, he merges into the supreme consciousness of mind. So Krishna says, just Abhyasa yoga yuktena, meaning sincere actions, trying to. What is yoga? Yoga means union only, isn't it? Union with what? With that which we have got separated from. Where Viyog has happened, there only yoga can take place again. So that yoga, Krishna is saying, somebody who is seeking, who is controlling sadhana is not an easy thing. It is something, it requires a lot of efforts. And it's not for no reason that so many yogis try to go and get into the realized state. They want to become one with the divine in all their actions also. So they experience that. Krishna is talking about it. When one practices yoga, seeking the divine union, emerges into the supreme consciousness of mind. Kavim Puranam Manushashitaram Anoraniyam Sa Manusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasaha Parastat. So, how is it? Kavim Puranam. The Kavis also are confused. Kavis meaning not just poets. Poets can be anybody. But Kavi is the one who's drashta, who's the seer. In the Sanskrit words, it talks about those ones who have got that inside. And Krishna says, the self, the supreme seer, the ancient, that is the supreme divine. He's describing it. The self, the supreme seer, the ancient and most subtle one, the inconceivable being whose golden radiance surpasses the sun, the formless atomic form that holds everything material. Beyond darkness, he is the divine, refulgent and ethereal. There is a seer, the supreme one, most ancient, most subtle. It's an inconceivable being, inconceivable golden radiance, which is more brilliant, which is more Aditya Varnam. It is like that. Hiranya Varna, Aditya Varna, the golden colored is what Krishna is talking about, which is even brighter than the sun. Formless atomic form that holds everything material beyond darkness is this divine refulgence, ethereal. My question is, formless atomic form. Now, what can that mean? We know what is formless. We know what is formed. The formless atomic form. Inconceivable being we are asked to conceive. Is Krishna again confusing us? Or maybe there's a hint. How do we understand it? Again, Tukaram comes to the rescue, at least for me, for this sloka. Has anybody heard of this Tukaram's words, where which connects something to this? Anyone? Arvindji is smiling, so I would like to say, Arvindji, if you are able to recollect, you can please unmute.
Anuraniya Tokada Tuka Akasha Evada.
Ha, absolutely, perfect. As Tuka has talked, smaller than the Anu. Anu is what? Atom, isn't it? And what were we taught? At least all of mankind by the latest, most great particle physicists. What had they thought first? They had taught us that atom is the most smallest fundamental particle of existence which cannot be subdivided further. But then, that was according to many, we were in India were not conscious of anything. We were in the dark ages that time. But here we have a word which is for atom, which is called Anu. Then there's already something smaller than Anu, and it's called Renu. Renu is next level of smallness. So we have, I think today Chitraji was talking about electrons, protons, neutrons. So these are all parts of the atom, which atom is again being divided further inside. So smaller than Anu, smaller than Renu, and yet vaster than the sky is what Tuka is telling about his consciousness, as beautifully Arvindji has told the words. See, mine is more smaller, my consciousness is smaller than the Anu, smaller than the Renu, and still vaster than the skies. Now, how does this look logically? How can it be possible? Go and ask quantum physicists. They are telling once you cannot break atoms further, then they broke atoms into subatomic particles. They said, don't, we are not breaking atoms, we are just classifying further. What are they classifying? Something which is too tiny, which cannot be more smaller than this. But did they stop at this? Protons, electrons, neutrons, or did they go deeper? Anybody? Yes, Dipaliji wants to add. Yes, Dipaliji. Please unmute, Dipaliji.
That's Big Bang theory, God's particle.
Yeah, yes, this God particle, and If you look at, there are certain, beyond that also they have so many particles, because they know there are quarks also. Then they are saying quarks are also not just quarks. Now there's up quark, down quark, color quark, side quark. How many quarks? Maybe 20 years later we'll have another 30, 40 more, what we can say, as you go in the smaller levels. They'll go femto, they'll say pico, and no, not here. We'll go even deeper. How can you go further and further into something which is already not having anything? Well, unless it is too wide, depending on your perception of entry. Well, isn't Tukaram talking about the same thing about consciousness? Well, this divine is something like that. It's so subtle. Sometimes you don't need anything to realize it. You can be sitting under a tree. One ray of sunlight can give you that realization. Sometimes you can get burnt in the sun and still not realize the presence of the divinity in the sun also. You can just say, sun is bad. I don't like the sun. I'll have some kind of sun protection creams around me now. I don't need all of this. But this aspect of the divine Krishna is talking about. He says, this is there. Krishna goes on, he says, Prayana kale manasa chalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva bhruvor madhe pranam avesha samyak sadam param purusho paiti divyam. So Krishna is saying, he who at the time of departure engages in my deliberation. One thing we understand definitely is Krishna is talking about yogi's journey. Why is he talking about yogi's journey and not a bhogi's journey? Simple reason. Yogi's journey is at least controlled. Bhogi's journey is completely uncontrolled depending on the desires. So the bhogi will keep running after the desires till that desires allure and attraction fades away. Then he will become a yogi. So Krishna is talking about yogi's journey first. He says this, he who at the time of departure engages in my deliberation, his soul is powered with the force of his devotion. Meaning Shraddha is not just empty now. Shraddha has that force. It is adding a force to the afterlife journey also Krishna is talking about. At the mystic seat between the brows, by focusing his concentration, he can verily attain my divine and supreme realization. So Krishna is talking about something Brewer Madhye. Did we come across this somewhere? Anybody? Yes. If yes, where? Please tell me. Yes, Badrinathji. Yes, please.
It is the first type of meditation that you should concentrate between the eyebrows.
Absolutely, sir. And what was that for? For controlling thoughts, isn't it? Krishna didn't tell us anything about... Yes. So, we can say one stone hitting two birds with one stone. That's what Krishna does. One shloka has 500 meanings, 500 references, 500 practical applications like that. This particular shloka where Krishna is talking about controlling emotions, controlling desires, do this particular technique of dhyana, it will help you become calm. Maybe tomorrow a clinical trial will be conducted on this particular technique by someone and they will describe what are the endocrine profiles, how they are getting altered. All these things, yes, not just in the life. Krishna is talking about this may probably help us in the afterlife also, because we've got that energy, ability to focus and concentrate our energies into one point. We are able to raise whatever consciousness is inside. It is said every cell is conscious inside of our body. There's, I think in the regional languages, Pindite Brahmandi, isn't it? It's like a universe inside of our body. Somebody goes in and sees the world, they'll see the world inside of them only. It is a beautiful world going on, continuously active. Even if we may be sleeping, it is happening continuously. Well, this is what Krishna is saying. Such a person, his soul is powered with the force of his devotion. At the mystic seat between the brows, by focusing his concentration, he can verily attain my divine supreme realization. So one more reason for meditation, if we want, is getting the ability to control our inner force also. It has a journey. One young budding astrophysicist who was studying, he said, this is like a rocket's takeoff. We need fuel. So he said, Shraddha is the fuel, is what he told, for the takeoff. Now what it is, let us see. We will see this Adhyaya. That was his interesting perception. Krishna goes on, he says, Yad aksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yadya tayo vitaragaha yad icchanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. What the knowers of the Vedas preach of the imperishable infinite self that one must reach, the gnosis sought through ascesis by the sages and celibate, That same knowledge to you, I shall now elucidate. Krishna says that same knowledge for which the great Vedic rishis have done some very difficult tapasyas. What those who have understood the Vedas, what they are telling all, that supreme self which has to be reached, that same knowledge which people are remaining brahmacharyas throughout their life because they feel only with that they will have the enough tapa inside of them, the enough oja so they can get that knowledge for which they spend entire lives in brahmacharya also. Krishna says that knowledge I shall elucidate to you. He says I'll share it to you. Krishna goes on, Sarvadvarena Sanyamya Manorodhi Niruddhacha Murdhna Murdhne Adhyatmana Pranam Asthito Yogadharanam. With all sensory doors of the being closed, the mind into the heart shut and firmly enclosed, focusing the life force of the body and raising it up to the head, meditating upon the union with the Supreme Godhead. Krishna is not talking about chakras, he's not talking about Kundalini, but we know he is implying about some of the changes which take place inside. What is he talking about? He's saying, first, the Navadvaras are like Digbandha, control, closed. All these Navadvaras, the person is fully conscious of all of them. Mind and heart, there's no fluctuation going on. Both have become one and both have become what we say in the many mantras, isn't it? They close it, they lock it, something like that. Mind and heart both have become one and they are firmly closed. Focusing the life force of the body and raising it up to the head, meditating upon the union with the Supreme Godhead. In Mahabharata, we have some yogis also, isn't it? How they they decided, now it's my time is complete. They became quiet, calm and peaceful, and they did that kriya and they left their bodies. Well, Krishna goes on, he says, Om iti etat ksharam brahma vyavaharan mam manusmaran yah prayati tejan deham sayati paramam gatim. By chanting Om, the singular syllable, the vibration of the primordial truth imperishable, remembering the overlord, when the body he leaves behind, the highest status of the Supreme he does find. Krishna is saying, by chanting Om, the singular syllable, this vibration of the truth, the imperishable one, if a person is conscious of it, Krishna is saying easily that person reaches the highest status of existence. Krishna goes on, Ananya chetaha satatam yo mam smarati nityasha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. He who practices yoga with an undeviated mind, striving to merge his consciousness with me, him you will find, in whose memory my remembrance never does cease. He, O Arjuna, attains the union in me with ease. Meaning, Krishna is saying such a person who is always in that state of oneness with the divine in all his actions. He's not worrying about, he's not having strong aspirations, or I must get this only, or I must get that only. Not in life, not in the afterlife also. Because he's whatever the divine gives, he accepts it perfectly, as the Isha Upanishad says, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Taktena Bhunjita. Means don't have any attachment, yet enjoy whatever comes naturally. There's a beautiful joy. Now we are all having summer in India. Suddenly, if the electricity is also gone, a cool wind comes from somewhere. Don't we feel, oh wow, a divine blessing? Something like that, that joy of unexpectedly when things come in our life and you experience and you recognize it's come from somewhere else, that knowledge gives you a great satisfaction. Something like that, a person who is practicing yoga with that mind, what is he striving for? He wants to become one with the divine, in whose memory my remembrance never does cease. He doesn't forget the divine, good times, bad times, anytime, every time. This person is conscious of the divine. He doesn't think this is the time I should not think of. One friend of mine, he had a photo of in his college, he had the photo of his Aradhya. When he wanted to fight and use swear words, he will cover the photo or he would turn it like that. And then he would start using swear words. As if covering the photo will make the Aradhya not hear his swear words. Somebody who is conscious, all his moments, Krishna is saying such a person can attain the union with ease. He need not worry anything. It will happen naturally, meaning the knowledge will come. I have to go on this mark. There are different margas. Krishna Marga, Shukla Marga, I have to go to Chandra Loka, Shiva Loka, whichever Loka. It is all right. The divine's words, divine will whisper. Maybe the divine will only take, like we talked about that, Dadima, she talked about a beautiful Vimana. That too on the most auspicious day of Vaikuntha Ekadashi. How blessed can a soul be like that? Well, this is something Krishna is telling. It happens naturally to such a person. And Krishna goes on. We'll just look at two more shlokas and it is time, so we'll conclude. Yeah, we have, I think, 4 more minutes. Yes, I've received an input. I should stick to the time. I have sometimes been stretching by 8 minutes or something. So we'll keep in our time and conclude by 9:30 every day. So let us go on. Krishna says, Maupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam shashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha sansiddhim paramam gataha. These liberated souls, after having come to my door, descend not into the mortal birth once more, and return not to the mortal world, transient and full of pain. The highest state of perfection they verily gain. Meaning, some of the yogis, they understand and they say, yes, I want to go on that marga from which I will never come back again. In Mahabharata, there was one character, isn't it? He had his control over his last moment. So he was particularly choosing consciously of the Shana also, which moment I have to go, because, yes, anyone? The name of the
Bhishmacharya.
character? Yes, yes.
Bhishmacharya. Bhishmacharya.
Yes, absolutely. Bhishmacharya. I had asked him when did he go? What was the reason? They said he was waiting for Bhishma Ekadashi. He did not know it was Bhishma Ekadashi. The name came afterwards. But there was something on that particular day. He was conscious about it. That we will see little later on. Let us continue. Krishna says, so this is interesting. It's talking about a concept in the next shloka about Brahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartinorjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanma na Vidyate. So Krishna says, even the beings of Brahma's most perfect planet and all other worlds are to rebirth subject. But those souls that seek refuge in me alone find release, and their cycles of endless births and deaths then cease. So Krishna is talking about other lokas also. Has anybody heard of any physicist talking about other lokas? It becomes much more believable when a physicist talks about it. Yes, they use another word, isn't it, in English for this? There's a theory, isn't it? At least theoretically, they have. There's a hypothesis that there is an existence of multiple worlds. Yes, anybody has heard of it anytime?
Multiverse.
Multiverse. Yes, Vishaji. Multiverse. It's now very common in the movies as well. It's something which, yes, absolutely. So like that, there is like parallel worlds existing together. They have done a full architecture of this, how these worlds are. And then they say this world is connected to the other world also. They don't like to use the word Krishna. They say instead of Krishna, use the word wormhole, which connects one world to another world, because it becomes more scientific, less rational to assume a divine connection with different worlds. But whatever it is, this aspect is being discussed by Krishna, and he says, well, which other world you're looking at? All worlds, they are going to experience this Punarapi Janama, Punarapi Marana. There's something special about Prithvi. Maybe that is why Prithvi has been chosen for another experiment of the divine. That is why in the Vedas also it is said, Devan Janma Guna Tejethe. The gods are invited to take birth on earth. They get pulled because this is where fastest burning of karma also probably takes place. Fastest transformation also is going to take place. Well, there's something special, but Krishna says those who have got liberated, they are not going to get trapped into that cycle. Bhishma had enough of life. He said, no, I don't want to get back another birth. I am going to go, because he really lived so many lifetimes in one life only. And so he chose his journey. We will see that, but he was a yogi. We will just stop at the next shloka. Krishna says, 17th shloka, we'll stop here. The next one will be completed. There are two different paths of the yogis also, how they go ahead. That is going to be described. Sahasra Yoga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yoga Sahastrantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. Krishna says, he who has the eternal Brahma's insight knows the duration of his cosmic day and night. Each single day and night of Brahma's lifespan equals a yuga of man. So this, I'll just pause here. I would ask you to reflect on this, and tomorrow we will continue. How can this be practical? Krishna says, he who has the eternal Brahma's insight, somebody who has got that understanding, he knows the duration, that there is something called I think again, this is also one that Astrophys was very excited about this chapter because he saw so many of his physics concepts. He says this has non-linearity of time explained in this shloka beautifully, meaning time is flowing at different rates and different planes. That has been shown in physics also. When you go out of space at a particular velocity, you will be having time proceeding at a different rate. Well, here Krishna is talking about Brahma's night is different from a Manushya's night. And somebody who's got the insight understands, he says, is that the cosmic day and cosmic night, single day of Brahma is equal to an entire yuga for man. Now this is crazy. How can a single day be equal to a yuga? And a single night, it is like that. One day equal to one yuga, one night equal to one yuga. What is the meaning of this Krishna is talking about? Just one example, and we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra also, after which then doubts are welcome. I think anybody has seen those insects in the rain season when you keep the window open. Insects come in, isn't it? What do you call them or anything? Anybody can tell me that it's a common phenomenon. It comes everywhere. In our factory, I was shocked because our staff were collecting them and they say we make a good pickle out of it. I never thought this would ever happen. Somebody would eat that. But yes, please, can someone tell me what it is? What happens? Yes, keep the window open, rainy season. Yes, anybody, what do you call them? In your regional language also you can, we don't, English is just a common language, but it's not the mandatory language as long as we can understand. Yes. What is that insect called? Anybody?
We call it Male Hula in Kannada.
In Kannada you call it?
Male Hula, basically
Male hula.
rain insects, just
Rain
a direct
insects. Okay.
transfer.
Rain insects, okay. Rekha ji wants to add?
Easel. In Tamil it's called easel.
In Tamil it's called easel. Okay, Padinaran ji.
It is that fly which gets attracted to the tube light.
Yes. So how much is the life, Badrinath ji, for these easel or Mare Hula, or that is a nice name, or what we can say, one more name, I don't know, Hindi name, I don't remember. Yes, please. What do you think is the lifespan of it? Dipari ji. Yes, ji.
Hardly a day or two.
Okay, and Om Prakash ji has given a probably longer life, a day or two. I think it's in a few hours only, isn't it? After it enters, it just falls. And if you open, our house becomes like a graveyard of so many insects, isn't it? If you look at it in a way, so many dead entities, all had the Jivatman inside, all the Jivatman is gone. How many of us sit and cry because of these insects have died? Oh my God, I'm going to not go mourning for a week. Excuse me. Yes, how many of us mourn?
No one.
No
No
one.
one.
Are we heartless?
No, not heartless. We take it as a nature. What can be
We
done?
accept.
We accept it.
Yes. That is what Brahma is doing about us also, but we get very disturbed. We say, well, look at this. Brahma is not caring. I fell down today. Brahma is probably seeing full yoga. We are seeing right now, he said, this fellow fell down now. I have been watching him fall for 10 births. When is he going to stop falling? I am looking at it. But here, so he doesn't intervene. So Brahma's cosmic night and day, for us, it is like, we can understand that from these insects and our correlation, if you just give that. The insects, we don't feel disturbed, but it does not mean we are heartless. It doesn't matter in our such big life. So many things, so many events are taking place. You'll say, "Arey, yaar, I have to do cleaning because of the insect." That's all you think. You don't even think anything bad about it. You don't think it's inauspicious that a life form is no more inside of my place. No, nothing of that. Because in our entire lifespan, it's nothing. It's just a few hours, and that too, we don't give importance to that. Well, what if Brahma is thinking same thing of us? Can we say Brahma is heartless, Brahma is cruel, Brahma is like that? Then the same will come to us. But it is a level of consciousness. It is something there. The insight from the higher plane is different, and the insight from here is different. That is why they say Vastavik Satya, Vyavaharik Satya. Both are different. One is the ultimate truth, one is the practical ground truth. Both are sometimes different, both are actually highest, is one only. But these are insights, these are perspectives. Somebody who is a yogi can understand beyond sometimes what is this, everything is gone. What is this happened. So now there is no peace in the world. No, life goes on. Death, even if you don't accept, I was very disturbed with the concept of death for many, many months. But it didn't make a difference to the world. World went on, isn't it? Ahead. It went on. That is the concept of truth. So here Krishna has introduced this concept of time proceeding differently. There's one, what appears to us is everything, but there it is actually in a different rate. So with this we stop. We will just see what Krishna is going to talk about. Next shlokas. I conclude with the Shanti Mantra, after which any questions are there, most welcome. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत्. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु. हरि ओम जी. नमस्कार.
हरि ओम.
हरि ओम. हरि ओम. हरि ओम.
Hari Om.
हरि ओम जी. नमस्ते. हरि ओम.
Hari Om.
हरि ओम. हरि ओम. हरि ओम. नमस्ते.
Hari Om.
हरि हरि
Hari
ओम.
Om.
हरि ओम जी. हरि ओम. नमस्ते. हरि ओम.
That insect is actually called tinka.
Tinka. Okay. Acha. Tinka is
Actually,
like this.
Tinka is just, you can say, a speck.
Spark or speck.
Just speck, just dots.
Yes. Yes.
So we are like that in that entire cosmos.
Yes. But we are Kirano ke Tinke and Kirano of the Supreme Divine. So then that is a different Tinka. Isn't it? Ji? Yes. Absolutely. Yes. 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 Ji. Thank you. Thank you. That was nice to know. In English, I don't know, flying termites, maybe. Rain insects is what I have actually used before. I don't know. All right, Ji. Hari Om. Thank you. Hari Om. Hare Krishna.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Namaste. I'll conclude the session if there are no queries. Namaste.
Hari Om.